everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. And it's Friday and this blog post is going to go live and it's part of the Festive Fridays challenge I participate in. Every other Friday, we share a challenge with you based on some festivity. Some are a little obscure, I have to admit. And this time it's Global Tiger Day that we're celebrating. So we have a challenge for you to use at least 3 items from the inspiration list that we post. And you can find that on my blog at stampingwithmelva.com. So head out there and check out the inspiration list that I had to choose from to make my card. Now, Global Tiger Day, you can imagine there are things on the inspiration list like stripes and tigers. There's also paper piecing, frame, tigers, stripe, orange, aperture, enamel, black, fur, and jungle. And so for my card today, I have chosen to use paper piecing, stripes, and orange. And I'm actually creating a holiday card featuring the all bundled up stamp set. Not quite what you would imagine for this, but there is the cutest moose in this stamp set. And so I've combined it with the perfectly penciled designer series paper, which has stripes. It's black. So I also have black in mine, I realized. So paper piecing, stripes, orange, and black. All right, let's get started and I will show you the card that I featured and then I'll show you how I made it. So this is the card. So it's a little bit different with the orange. The paper piecing is the hat. I'm not sure that you can see. I have to grab the paper. I realized I forgot to grab the designer series paper that I used for this. This fun pom-pom is made using the Snowball Accents puff paint. So I'm not sure you can see there. You can see that it's actually 3-dimensional. I'll show you how to do that. Anyway, isn't this a cute card? That moose, he's so adorable. All right, let's get started. First of all, let me just grab my paper. There we go. Oopsie. I have to grab some designer series paper to do the paper piecing on. There we go. Got that. Okay. All right, let's bring in, so this is the all bundled up stamp set that's in the new Stampin' Up! Mini catalog, July to December mini. So this is the moose, a raccoon, a little bunny, a little bird, and then some really pretty sentiments with snowflakes. So I don't know that this, I guess it's definitely a holiday card, but it doesn't have to be Christmas and definitely doesn't have to be, it's very not traditional with the colors I've got. Okay, so I've got a piece of basic black cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. Grab your bone folder, and as always, this is the size I score on. This is the raised line of the mountain, so fold into the mountain and give it a good crease with your bone folder. Now, this is the perfectly penciled designer series paper. One side in this one is black and white stripes, and the other side are flowers. You could color your flowers. It's really pretty paper. It's all black and white, but I'm just going to adhere down so that I have the striped side showing. Since that was one of my items that I chose from the inspiration list, there's my stripes. So I've got black, I've got white, or black and stripes. Now I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that I cut 2 3/4 by 4. And we're going to stamp the moose. I'm going to stamp it in the memento because I am going to color it using my Stampin' Blends. So we'll stamp him kind of hopefully in the middle. There we go. And I'm going to stamp him a second time, isn't he cute, on this piece of designer series paper. This is the Regal's designer series paper pack. So I'm using the pumpkin pie, and I don't need this. when I stamped him before, I stamped the whole image. All I really need, and let's make sure, I'm going to make the stripes go up and down. All I really need is the top of him because I just need to be able to cut. This is paper piecing. So all I need to be able to do is cut around his hat. So you're just going to take your paper snips. So when you do paper piecing, you stamp on the designer series paper and then cut out. And I'm going to cut around the pom-pom. I'll cover over that pom-pom with the puff paint when we're finished, but I'm really just cutting out the toque. I don't know what you call it. We call it a toque in Canada. So his hat, his winter hat. All right. So the goal of paper piecing is to stamp a piece and you're going to glue that on top of the stamped part instead of coloring. So instead of coloring his toque, I am going to adhere this paper piece that I have now cut out from designer series paper. There we go. So that's going to cover over his toque like that. But before we do that, let's do some coloring. I've grabbed a bunch of blends. So I'm not sure what color a mousse is, but I'm going to do him a combination of crumb cake and gray granite. So I'm going to start with my light crumb cake and just kind of color most of the mousse in this. When I color using blends, I always start with the light blend, and I kind of give the whole piece or the whole part of the image that I'm coloring kind of a base. I'm sure there are other ways. I've seen other demonstrators put their dark lines down and then use the light color to blend over it. I just find, like I said, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do that. I find by putting kind of a base down with the light color first, I'm not coloring over the eyes, I'm able to blend my darker colors a little better. So whatever works for you. Does mean that I go through the light blends much faster than the dark ones. All right, so, and I'm also going to do his antlers. I'm going to leave them mostly in crumb cake, but over the part of the mousse, I'm actually going to start and add in some gray granite just to make him a little bit grayer than the brown. I think mousses are not quite all brown. So that is, I'm going to use the dark gray granite and just kind of go in and do some shading. We'll go in and blend this. You may not be able to see this, but this is definitely grayer than the crumb cake. I could have used probably smoky slate, but oh, I forgot his ears. Okay, so let's just do the dark ears. All right. Now I'm going to go back in with my light crumb cake and just do some blending. So you can color him whatever color you think a mousse is and however you want. You could use your markers. You could use your watercolor pencils. You could use your reinkers with a blending brush or a blender pen, or your water painters. There's all sorts of ways to color. I think I want to do a little bit more of this gray granite just to make him a little bit grayer. There we go. like I said, you could just color this with your markers and not worry about doing the blending like I am, but I kind of like to color. And sometimes I will leave my images for a while. Now, let's see, this for the antlers, as I said, I'm going to leave them just crumb cake, and I just want to add in some dark crumb cakes. So sometimes I will leave my images for a while because just let it dry and then go back over it with some color just to add in. You're really just adding in some layers of color when you're adding these. So sometimes I'll leave it for a bit and come back to it and then go add a little bit more. But these smaller images, I'm not too worried about. I'm just really trying to blend the lines. There we go. So we've got our moose. And I guess I want to do the bottoms, his hooves. So I have got light basic black. You could use dark smoky slate, which is actually what I thought I'd grabbed, but that's okay. Hooves often are dark, so we will use the basic black. When you are coloring with your Stampin' Blends, you absolutely want to make sure that you have got something underneath, some paper underneath. Don't be coloring on top of your card base. Otherwise, this does go through. You can see it goes through because of the alcohol. So you definitely don't want to be coloring on top of your card base. Now I'm going to color all over the image, the scarf in the light pumpkin pie. And then I'm going to go back in with the dark pumpkin pie and color in the stripes of his scarf. And I'm also going to color in his toque because sometimes if the paper piecing doesn't cover perfectly, if you cut it maybe a little bit short, this way there's orange, there's pumpkin pie underneath it, and it won't be quite so obvious. Okay, so now we're going to use the dark, and we're just going to color in some stripes on his scarf. So I'm just kind of doing every other stripe on his scarf using the dark pumpkin pie, just to make it look like he's got a striped scarf. All right, so there's a scarf striped. And now I've got a piece of pumpkin pie that I cut 1/4 inch bigger. So this is 3 inches by 4 1/4. So we're going to take this and adhere it just on an angle on our card base. So kind of like that. Trying to just get it equal distance from the corners, top and bottom. And then we're just going to alternate this going the other way, just to give it a little bit more interest. I could have just matted it, but I kind of thought it was fun going like this. All right, the last thing I need to do is I'm going to take this piece that I cut out, I stamped and cut out from the Designer Series paper, and we're just going to use some liquid glue. You don't need a lot. Probably should be using, let's see if I can use these tweezers. There we go. These amazing tweezers that are part of the embossing kit are great for hanging on to little tiny pieces like that when it's hard to pick up. Probably should have used my silicone mat on my thing so I didn't get glue. Okay, so now we need a sentiment. So I'm going to use the sentiment that says, "You're the coolest." Just stamping it on a scrap of basic white cardstock in the tuxedo black. And I'm just going to take and fussy cut. You could use a die or a punch, but I am going to just fussy cut around this sentiment. If you follow me, you know that I tend to like to fussy cut. And then we'll use some dimensionals. So just a couple of dimensionals to pop this up. That, like that. And we will put this down like, oops, let's get it straight at least. Let's see, use your grid paper. You can actually order
This grid paper is available in the catalog. So if you don't have grid paper, it's the best thing for lining up. You know, making sure you've got your pieces straight on your card. It's a really great tool. Now, 2 things left. This is the Snowball Accents Puff Paint. We've had this before. What you want to do is you want to make sure that this is, give it a really good shake. And the thicker it is, the longer it will take. So as you lay it on, so we're just going to put a layer of the puff paint covering over the pom-pom on the moose's hat. Now I've got it fairly thick, so the thicker it is, the longer it takes to heat up and puff. So this will actually, when it starts to dry, it will start to puff up. And also, but the bigger it will be. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and I put it on the high setting, and you want to put it really right over top, because if you put it off to the side, you will get your liquid kind of moving, and it won't stay as a kind of a puff like I want it to. So I've kind of got it right over top. I'm trying to make it, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see this until it actually is done. So I'm just kind of holding it right over top. And once it starts to dry, it will start, like the magic of embossing, there it goes, it just starts to puff. It's very cool. And I got quite a lot on here. So I'm going to have a really big pom-pom. So the longer you leave it on, the more it kind of puffs up. So there we go. So now I've got, can you see that? There we go. You can see how much it's puffed up from that little bit. So it's just so much fun to play with. Now the last thing I want to put on this, these are the Fine Sparkle Adhesive back gems. These are part of the Storybook Gnome, so they're in multiple colors. So these ones that are in Pale Papaya, I thought would just be pretty on this card, given that it's got the orange. So we'll just put some of those on. My card is kind of buckled a little bit from that heat, but it'll settle down. The one thing you do, this if you leave it sit for a bit, because if you the pom-pom, because it's what it is, it actually will flatten. So if you send this in an envelope, you will find that will flatten out. Now I'm just going to take and stamp some of these snowflakes in the bottom right hand corner of my card, the inside of my card. So this is a piece of basic white that's 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I just want something on the inside. So I stamped some snowflakes. So this will go on the inside of my card. There we go. So there is my moose for the Festive Friday challenge as part of the Global Tiger Day challenge. So make sure you check this out. The inspiration list will be as part of my blog post. And so you can go over to stampingwithmelva.com and find that blog post, and you will find the inspiration list as well as the link where you could share the card you create for Global Tiger Day. And maybe you'll be one of the design team's top picks for this week. As I said, we share a challenge every other Friday for this. So have a look and participate. They're really fun. I love to do challenges, and it really just goes to show you this card has nothing to do with tigers. And so it's fun just to use the inspiration list and challenge yourself to make a card. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get notified when I go live or when I post a video like this one. I'd love for you to be a subscriber. And if you found your way over to my blog at stampingwithmelva.com, don't forget to follow me and subscribe to my newsletter so you'll get all the latest news and updates when I post on my blog. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me. Hope you have a great day. Happy stamping. Bye.